Okay, today we're going to talk about primary and secondary sources. These are sources that historians use when doing their research and writing books. I don't know if you all will ever use them, but I think it's important for you all to understand what these are. So as I said, primary and secondary sources are evidence that historians use. And there's a difference between them. So like primary sources are, they're like sources that were written in the, during the time period under study. So examples of these sources include biographies, interviews, like oral history interviews, articles of, oh no, those are secondary sources. So examples of these sources are like letters, government records, newspapers from the era, sometimes music, maybe original film footage. Let's see, did I say, oh, you girls out there might understand this, diaries, and for you boys, like maps, right? So, but the maps have to be created in the era under study. So these are primary sources. So what about photographs? Do you think photographs are a primary source? Yeah.
No.
No, that's wrong. Photographs are a primary source. They can be a primary source. And I brought an example of one here. This is an advertisement. It's from the 1950s, and an historian might look at this if they're looking at the social construction of gender in the 1950s. So that takes us to secondary sources. Now, well, first, does anybody have any questions about primary sources? No?
I have a question.
Can we save it till after the lecture? Secondary sources, now these are things like history textbooks. Sometimes a textbook can be a primary source, but it's really confusing. It has to be written like in the era under study. This also includes, let's see, articles. So these would be articles written by other scholars in the field. Let's see. So books, like the books, all the books you all are reading this semester are secondary sources. So a historian would use this to kind of get some background information on their topic, to see how other scholars have interpreted the event under question. And they're very useful for background information. And they can also look at the footnotes to be able to see maybe what primary sources they would use in their own research. Now you all probably won't do research, and probably won't ever do historical research, but it's important to know this topic for this class in particular. So sometimes a secondary source can be a primary source, sometimes a primary source is a secondary source. It can get some gray area, but I do want to let you know that you will be tested on this. So just make sure you read the handout I gave you, and when we meet next time, I'll give a quiz, and then it'll be on the big end of the year test. Any questions? No? Okay, that's our lesson for today.